What's your energy level? Not bad. I have difficult task to keep you alive at 4 p.m. No being a stage beast, so oh, again. Let me take you to the journey of my personal aha moments regarding roles. So we have been talking a lot today about general topic about leadership. My presentation will be very narrow, which is related to roles. About the role, establishing a role is something which managers, leaders do in organizations. So I hope you will get some tangible outcome out of this presentation. But let me first introduce myself. So I'm working for Dynatrace, as you can see, for more than 4 years, and I really love this company because of the culture, autonomy, and open mind. But I love my job. That's why I have my side projects. One of this is a Scrumtale game, which I developed together with Lech Wypychowski. And this game has an interesting concept of crime story being used as a product developed by a group of ghostwriters using Scrum. And I'm really proud because right now this game is used by professional trainers in almost 40 countries around the world. I have my own consulting company, and recently I started to record podcast, Agile for Manager. But if you would like to have a real passionate discussion with me, you can always ask me about sailing and my retirement plans, which are connected with sailing. So I'm waiting till my youngest son will be grown up and I can start my retirement on the boat. So, no, not this slide yet. Yeah, this slide. So, to wake you up a little bit, take your phones, go to the this URL aha/Q9G39, and the question for you is, what causes the biggest problem for you when you collaborate with other roles? Lack of role definition, too vague or unclear role definition, maybe too detailed role definition, or collaboration and interaction issues not related to the role definition or the reasons. So you can vote on your mobile, and I hope it will work. Yes. And I completely don't know what will be the answers because this is the first time when I do this presentation, so you can surprise me. Interesting. And this is exactly what I expected. So collaboration and interaction issues not related with the role definition, and this is what my presentation will be about. I will give you a chance to vote. Thank you for all the hearts and, thumbs up, your smiles. You are very polite. But we have the winner and too vague on our unclear role definition. So, let me start with my story. It was the year 2003, Return of the King movie premiere. Greta was born that year. And I started to work as a firmware developer at Intel. And I remember my first project, it was Wi-Fi access point project. we went to US for 2 weeks with the whole team to take over the project from US guys. Then we returned to Poland, and after several weeks, the project was canceled. So it was my first hard lesson about the corporate life. But anyway, it was a great time for me. I just coded in C, C++. I was learning new skills, and I was a happy developer. So at that time, I don't care about my role definition, role description. But time flies. It was year 2013. Croatia became the member of European Union. This was year of protests in Kiev, and I became Scrum Master. And it was the first time when I frustrated because of lack of my role definition. And why I was frustrated, was angry. And I'll give you one example. So we have a sprint planning session with the team. It went pretty well. We defined a sprint goal. We discussed about the tactics of realization of the sprint, how to work with each other, how to make this sprint successful. It was a great sprint planning session. And you know what? After 2 days, manager came and reshift all the tasks. And I was angry because I need to understand my responsibilities. I don't want to step on another person toes, especially manager toes. At the same time, I want to do my Scrum Master role really well. So I need to understand my responsibilities because manager expectations are different than what I think the Scrum Master should do. So what we did, we started the process of clarification of this role in the company. We finally agreed on what Scrum Master should do in this company. And I found that the role definition gives us something positive. It gives me stability and structure. It gives me clarity and common agreement about the role responsibilities. So it is my first takeaway. So role definitions are not bad. They gives us this stability structure. But the time flies again. We don't know yet who famous was born this year. This person is only 6 years old. And I was still Scrum Master, but maybe a little bit more experience. And at that time, I start to figure out that that one role definition has significant limitations. You cannot put in one role definition all the implementations of the role, which I saw in the company. By different implementation, I mean that different people live the role different way. And it's not only about differences in personalities, this is about context, because context impacts role implementation. And to give you an example, when I observe product owners, I see that they work differently when they work with a mature, self-organized team, and they work differently when they struggle with some difficult teams. The same, the product owner role implementation differs whenever the product owner work on an open source product versus internal product, or the product for just one customer versus the product for hundreds of customers. And another example from private life, who has kids and partner? Raise your hands. So you know that your implementation of a role as a father or mother is different when the kids has just a few weeks and you need to figure out who will wake up in the night to change the diaper. And your role implementation as a father or mother is different when the kids are grown up or be in high school and your daughter start to date with some strange guys. Yeah. I also observed two extremes in related to role implementation. One extreme is that You can take into account local context, leaving the role contradictory to the formal role definition. So you are far away from the formal role definition, which is bad because usually it leads to some problems, conflicts. In most cases, you step out, you step into the someone else area, someone else area of responsibility. And from the another point, you can leave the role according to the formal role definition, even when it would be better to adapt the role to specific local context. And in this case, it would be better if the role will be tailored to the specific local context, and because of efficiency and better results. So the conclusion is that this is my next aha moment. One role definition cannot fit to all possible implementation. And the reason is context. And you can say, hey, Przemek, you didn't say anything new. We know it. Yeah, so this is quite obvious. But this is just a teaser of this presentation. And let me take you through my story. And back then, I was involved in the process of role redefinition in the company. So I joined a group of managers, and they are already struggling with this process for several months. And I joined this group at the time when they are really tired of it. They struggle with some wordings. They have different opinion how the final version of the role definition should look like. And I try to help them. And I will share with you my thinking process back then when I start to think, how can we do it better? So, for those who are familiar with system thinking and classes of systems, you probably know that organization is in a class of complex adaptive system. So in this system, we have agents, in this case, roles, people in roles, and we have interactions between roles. And one important thing, feature of complex adaptive systems is that interactions are far more important than agents in the system. So we have interactions. So I start to think, okay, so if interactions are more important than the agents, so why we are so focused on role definitions? We should maybe be focused more on interactions. And another analogy to family, the quality, in my opinion, quality of life in family is the function of relations, not the function of roles in the family. And I know what I say because I have 3 kids. My partner has 3 kids. So together we are 8, so typical Scrum size family. So if we change this sentence to align more to roles, the quality of collaboration between roles are more important than the roles themselves. And it was my aha moment. Okay, so they are struggling with the role definition. So maybe they are focusing on the wrong element, not on the interactions. But how to do it? And maybe one more thing. And you can say that, okay, Przemek, but we are focusing a lot to help people to collaborate better. We have trainings, we have, communication trainings. We are introducing feedback culture, and that's fine. But all of those elements are not on the level of structure. And I would like to help us to understand what I'm trying to convey by using this model, iceberg model for system thinking. And we have some behaviors on the top, something which we can observe. We have some trends, so patterns of collaboration. We have some mental models, but we have also underlying structures. So those things which are very tangible, like processes, practices, things which drives, amplify some behaviors, either bad or wrong. It also influences how people collaborate. So, and role definitions are here. So they are documented element of our company structure. And I start to think how to add the element which will help us to collaborate on this level, on the structure level, because I believe that if you would like to change behavior, if you would like to influence the collaboration, we should start here. Because if we would like to change some behavior, it's much more difficult to just convey people and operate on behavior level or mental models. And I can give you an example. Like, if you would like to improve the communication in the team, it's much better to introduce the stand-up, which is structure, than just telling people, please communicate better. Or it's much easier to really make use of continuous improvement process by introducing retrospective, which is also the structure, than just asking people to to improve their processes. And if the people start to observe that something is working on the structural level, so daily stand-ups start to work for them, they start to change their behaviors, and at the end also mental models, so they start to think about the work in a different, from the different lens. So the question I had, how can we shift the focus from role definition to definition of roles interactions, the structure level? And I have another question for you. Imagine that you start a new project or you build a new product team, and how often do you talk about how we will collaborate in the new project? Just sit down and figure out how this collaboration should look like. Who cries? I'm sorry that I make you cry. And again, thanks for hurts. Sometimes, often, always, I like this one. Never, we just start working together and, like a soldiers on the battlefield, we will see. I like your answers. I very often see this one. So we just start doing things. So we start talking about the milestones, tasks, risk, project, and that's it. And the follow-up question to that, maybe more interesting. If you have such conversation, how often such an agreement has written form? So maybe I will not bring something new to you. So maybe my presentation is obvious, which makes me sad, but anyway, the highest score is never. We just start working together, and this is also my observation. So, when I was thinking about this issue, I pop up to the very interesting case study, Morningstar, and it captured my attention because this company is telling that this is a company without formal roles and this is a company without managers. So I start to think how they can organize the company without all this formal structure. And I found very interesting elements there, a letter of understanding. So the concept is that in this company, when people start to collaborate, when they need to do something together, they need to sit down and write down this letter of understanding. So they need to understand what I need from you to fulfill my role well, and what do you need from me to fulfill my role. So how can we establish collaboration the best way? And this is my aha moment. So I remember the moment. Yeah, this is it. This is what I'm searching for. I'm searching for because I was looking for some structural element which can be introduced to cover this element of interactions. So going back to the story, what we did with managers, how it went. So we very quickly simplified the role definitions with the. So we say the role definition don't need to be so so complicated. We simplified and we put the stress on the strong purpose statement, which should be an answer for a question: why do we have this role? And in addition to that, we have introduced written contracts, created and modified whatever is needed by the people who need to work together. And what I found interesting, first, it is written contract. And why written? Because if you need to write something down, you need to think twice. You need to carefully think, what do you really need? How you would like to collaborate with this person or with this group. And it's much easier to remember what we have agreed on after several months. Another element is that it is structured. So you have some questions to answer which guide you and help you to figure out what needs to be agreed. And at the end, facilitated if needed, because sometimes we figure out that it's easier if it's the process facilitated. And I have a chance, and I use two types of contract during my career. One is one-to-one contracts, which is rather rare in my experience, and the group contract when we have a group of roles, group of people, group of leaders, and they together write down how they would like to collaborate on a project, or how they would like to collaborate on some product. And I have never worked with a company when it would be an obligatory element. It was always something which is an optional element. But I found it very useful, and I use it a lot in different companies, and I see a lot of value. And what could be contracted? First, this is the first question in my structure of contract. What do you need from me? What I need from you? The second, areas of responsibility. What are you responsible for? What I am responsible for, and what we have, what shared responsibility we have. Decision-making process. How we should make decisions. How we should document decisions. How we should exchange information, what I need to share with you, how, in which channels, how often, and all the things related to information. How often we should meet and talk, so we can also establish some meeting structure in the contract. How we should offer feedback to each other. So how open we are for a feedback, how we should do that, also if we want this feedback or not. Documentation rules, where we should store documentation, how to update documentation. And last but not least, how often we should go for a beer together to relate not only on a professional level, but also on a private level. And if you think how many of these things can cause the conflict if we not sit down and talk about it up front. So by using the contract, you can avoid a lot of tension, you can avoid a lot of conflicts just by talking about this. And the contract also is a living document. So whenever the situation change, whenever you learn something new, you can say, hey, let's change our contract. Let's find out, let's figure out the better way. And what I also like in the contracts, that it is open for changing of context. So you can start with something, and during the project, during the time, after some time, you can change and adapt to the changing context. So let's summarize it. So first, reality is too complex for one role description. So don't try to overcomplicate the roles. Don't try to overanalyze the role or make it too big. Second, shift the focus from role definition to definition of role interactions, because the quality of collaboration between roles is much more important than roles themselves. And that's it. And the last question for you, for my curiosity, what in this presentation made your brain create new neural connection? So in other words, if there is something interesting, if you take away something from this presentation, you can now share it and just write down whatever you want. All, iceberg model, thinking about defining interactions over roles, interactions, talk with people, direct crisis solve. Oh, a lot. What? I don't know. This is interesting. I don't know. I will not. I will not try. So, thanks. I will take a look after the presentation on your answers. And this is the end. Thank you. We are finally arrived with the. We finally arrived to our marina, and the yacht you can see here is built for the first round the world race, which was called Wide Break Round in 1973. Now it's called Volvo Ocean Race. So this little yacht crosses the globe, and I have to call to action. So I love to connect with people, even if I introvert. I'm a kind of introvert who like talking to people. So if you like to connect with me, this is the QR code to my LinkedIn profile. And the second call to action, if you would like to stay connected only and stay with me with my podcast, subscribe to my channel so you will feed my ego. I have a very well contact with my ego. We talked a lot with each other. So we even talked in the morning, and he asked me, please don't forget to ask them to subscribe to our channel, and I promise him not to forget. So the QR code will stay, and right now we have some time for questions.